Sack and Jack, Rob Sacre. I'm Jack Ferris. Full disclosure, texted Rob yesterday. I said, hey, let's do the Santangelo intro at 6:45. And Rob was like, cool, I'll be there. Get into work, 5 a.m. I'm not showing off that I'm at work at 5 a.m. or anything. I'm just trying to give you context. Here for about an hour and 45 minutes. And right around 6:45, I was like, I feel like I have to do something. I just don't know what it is. And then Rob said, I was like, dude, I'm waiting. At like 6:48.
Oh, I was just concerned. You're usually spot on. You hit me up like right on the dot so I was like, "This ain't. Are you ready? You good?"
Yeah. You know what I was doing? I was watching highlights of the bronze medal field hockey game between India and Germany. That's what I was doing rather than talking to you.
No, it's good, dude. The Olympics has kept my attention. This has been it's been something different, I guess. I've been locked in on this Olympics.
So were you rooting for Canada against the U.S. women the other day? Soccer.
I saw that game. See, I try not to get in those matches. You know, like I just feel torn. Who do I root for? I played for Canada, so I'm kind of committed on that end. You know, the struggle of not having as much funds to our programs as the United States, but at the same time, I'm American too.
Yeah, sorry, we got more money, bro. What do you want me to say?
It's crazy. People don't realize how much money backs the United States, like U.S. sports teams.
Hell yeah, brother.
Compared to other countries, it's incredible.
Sorry.
Yep, exactly. Capitalism.
For being winners.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you have been digging the Olympics. Good.
Oh, beach volleyball.
Hell yeah. You're kind of a night owl, though, to begin with, huh? Actually, not really, though.
I've become an early bird just based on being a dad, but at the same time, I don't go to bed until midnight anyways.
Oh, really?
I have a problem. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I just don't get enough sleep, I guess. I don't know. Are
you still going down YouTube rabbit holes?
Dude.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Guilty as charged, pal.
These algorithms just know what to, like, right before you go to bed, you're like, oh, what is this?
I got to do one more.
One more. This is interesting. And then you go and then the related videos right next door is like, oh, all right, let me check this one out too.
Dude, I've been watching. Have you seen the video series of the two? I don't want to sound insensitive, but they're like Southeast Asian men who build like sick ass water parks with their bare hands in the jungle. No. Oh, dude.
What?
Yes.
What?
And it's like a time lapse and they show it. They do it over like 90 days or something crazy like that.
And they just build it with their bare, like using mud.
They use like remedial tools. They use like a pickaxe and shovels. And they just map out these sick ass water parks and like hangout spots, like underground pools. And they do it in like 6 weeks to 3 months. What? There's like, dude, these views have like 25 million. I guarantee you listeners are like screaming at me what the YouTube series is called because they have like 25 million views each. It's insane. It's so satisfying.
Oh, because you see the gratification of when they're done.
Like mowing the lawn, partner.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Jack.
What's up?
I said this on the Jay and Kevin show, but I may or may not have had a break-in entry on myself. I'm just saying.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
A B&E that you committed?
Yes.
Wait, you broke into your own house?
Don't listen. I may or may not. I don't want to convict myself.
Yeah.
So I may or may not have in a middle school.
Wait, you broke into a middle school.
I don't want to say I did. I may have. Yeah, so I went to my son's football practice, but it was so smoky they wanted to do it inside, right?
Okay.
So, all right, being the data, you got to learn to be on time. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late, basically, that type of dad. So we show up to practice about 25 minutes early, and I'm outside, and I get the text, and it says, be at this gym. I'm reading it over and over again. When you show up somewhere and there's no one around.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, did I screw up? And you're second guessing yourself. Yeah,
correct, totally. Correct. So I end up it's like 10 minutes before practice. I call the coach. I'm like, where are you guys? And he's like, oh, we're in the gym. Just go through the front and you'll be fine. You might have to sign in and just meet us in the gym. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, Q, let's go. Come on, let's go through the front. And I'm.
This is after you gave him a speech about how important it is to be
right.
I'm prepared. Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm driving also in the stinking Lincoln around this middle school, mind you. Just have that in your mind.
Was Ren and Stimpy playing?
No, Ren and Stimpy, but it was just a little. I could obviously say it looked suspicious at the time.
At least you're self-aware. You
gotta be when you're you gotta be in my life. And so I ended up going to the front door, and I'm like, oh, all these doors are locked. Okay, well, no, not this one.
Great.
And I open the door and we walk in, and all of a sudden the alarms just start going off.
Oh yes.
My son starts panicking. I said, relax.
Yeah.
I guess we're not supposed to be here right now. We walk out. And then the coach goes, where are you guys? And I'm like, where are you? Long story short, the word, it changed up the words in the text, autocorrect or whatever. It was supposed to be north something, and then it was... Anyways,
you screwed up. Screwed up.
Okay. I broke into a building, middle school, and I was waiting for the cops to have me on the ground when I stepped out of the building.
Did you wait around for cops or
God, no, I was not going to be there. I hopped in the Lincoln so fast. And
you sprinted to a car.
No, I did not. You don't sprint to a car after something like you play. I told him, you got to play it cool, Q. We didn't steal anything. Just walk like you just made a mistake. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the highlights of my life.
But I'm sure you're on the way to the car. Your head was definitely on a swivel.
100%. I was ready to hit the ground. As soon as I walked out, I was like, all right, I'm going to hit the pavement here soon enough.
Well, good. Glad to hear your record is still relatively clean, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I kind of convicted myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, better you than somebody else. Better you get ahead of it, ahead of the problem.
Amen.
So Matt Santangelo, we sat down and chatted with him. We sat down and had a great convo with him about a month ago. And you know what's crazy, Rob?
Yeah, it was a month ago.
What the hell did we talk about?
No, we talked about Hoopfest.
Of course we talked about Hoopfest.
And what he's done is so amazing for the city and for Hoopfest. Matt works his ass off, and I don't think people realize how much he really devotes his life into this. So we greatly appreciate all his time and our listeners for listening.
Matt is a Spokane and really inland Northwest treasure. And I think he would blush at that, but it's the truth. What he means to the Gonzaga program, coupled with him being the executive director. I love that title. The executive director of Hoopfest. He overserves the community in the best way possible. If you think you had a rough COVID, I bet Matt Santangelo's COVID was worse. Could you imagine being the head of something like Hoopfest and having to, sift through different governments telling you different things day to day and getting...
I don't want to be the head of anything when it came to COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
But he weathered the storm. Hoopfest is coming up next month, right? Right about a month away.
That's crazy. Where did our summer go, bro?
Where did it go, my man? Where did it go? But yeah, Matt Santangelo is excellent as always. He gave us an hour of his time, I think. Hour plus. Yep. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Do you have any B&E plans this weekend, buddy?
You know what? I honestly haven't even. I've been so busy. I haven't even thought what I'm going to do in the next 5 hours.
That's good. That's good. You don't need any plans. You're a 32-year-old man.
No, yeah. I'll be all right. I'll be watching some beach volleyball. I'll tell you that.
Hell yes. As always, find us on Instagram. Please, please, please like, follow, Twitter, Facebook, the whole nine. We really appreciate all of you who listen every week. You're the best. You're the best.
Absolutely. And tell your friends.
If you're brand new, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't cost you nothing. Maybe rate, maybe review. Just easy on the 1 stars. If you're going to do a 1 star, make it really funny.
Yeah. Come on. If you're going to do something, be original.
I'm good with a 1 star review if you write a scathing sentence.
Yeah, I need some real criticism if you're going to do that.
Yeah, if it's going to be a 1 star, tell us how we can improve on the star situation.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Speaking of stars, here's a bright one. Here's Santangelo. From the corner! The Godfather.
Back
second
again.
Time.
Yes.
Yeah, second time. Yeah. Executive Director of Hoopfest, Matt Santangelo. Actually, the last time we talked was, 18 months ago, January, at the casino. Since then, there hasn't been a Hoopfest.
Nope. There hasn't. Has been many basketballs bouncing in that time in the state of Washington.
I imagine, so we're recording this, what is it, July 9th?
Yep.
I think generally, isn't this the time of year where the Santangelos sneak off for a well-earned vacation somewhere?
Yes. The blood pressure has gone down by this point in the summer. The blood pressure is not currently down. No. Neither is the pace of life. It's funny how out of Hoopfest shape I am.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. What does that mean?
Yeah,
well, it means that everything happens at once, right? I always say Hoopfest or events in general, it's like Thanksgiving dinner. Everything's got to hit the table hot. So you only have one chance to get it right. It's not like we messed up, we'll do it the next weekend, run it back. You can't. So right now with sponsors, logistics with the city, obviously the COVID differences for this year's Hoopfest, different time of year, all these different things are all happening all at once. And so I was just remarking to my coworker, Connor, and I was saying, it's crazy how much work we do and how different every meeting is. Because you can talk to literally the city of Spokane, the regional health district, Nike, Toyota, hop on a podcast, go talk to KHQ, and that was literally my day today.
Yeah.
And so it's just really dynamic, which in a lot of ways is fun, but it's fast. That's
why the
blood pressure and pace are up.
Yeah.
That's all.
Let's go back to, what was it? Mid-March, early March, when the world started falling apart, right?
Yep.
So NBA season canceled. The next day, NCAA tournament's going to happen without fans. The day after that, NCAA tournament's canceled. At what point did you start getting concerned? Because I think all of us kind of thought okay, this is going to suck for 6 weeks, but come May, June, we'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think what our mentality was and I told this over and over again because we got a lot of not a lot, but some pushback from people you cannot have Hoopfest. How stupid can you?
Immediately.
Oh, immediately. How
really? Whoa! It's
and I'm
few months away.
I just kept saying it doesn't hurt to plan. Yeah. Let us continue to plan. We can open up registration.
Why not?
We can. Yeah. What does it hurt? It doesn't hurt. And so that's what our stance was. And then as March rolled on, registrations were coming in. People were still registering. We're ready for Hoopfest in June, April. Then we start to go into the financial pro forma. What are those defensive mechanisms we can have? Who are the sponsors that are going to stand by us? How do we tighten our belts around? Because we're a small business at the end of the day. People know us as the big event, but we got payroll and rent and everything else that every other business has. And so really trying to solve for that. And then trying to provide value, because at the same time we really kind of took the stance that we wanted to be the light at the end of the tunnel. We wanted to be that one source that was yes, we are going to work for you. We're not just going to shut it down because we're scared of our shadows or whatever it was. We were going to continue to grind, continue to compete, and kind of stand alongside our athletes and volunteers. And then it's just, things kept happening. We were just flexible and bounced around like everyone else at that point.
When do you remember the day you knew you had to shut it down?
We, I think, made that announcement mid-April that we postponed. So then we went to August. Right. So we postponed first.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Which made our season of stress and anxiety even longer.
Did you feel like you're just walking on eggshells the whole time?
No, you just there's so many things out of your. It's like sports. Like there's so many things out of your control that you you have to give yourself to the whims of the universe, or for lack of a better term, because you can't control the weather. You can't control, obviously, public health. You can't control. I think that, again, that's not unique to Hoopfest. That's with events in general. There's so many variables that are outside of your control that you just try to roll with it every day the best you can and try to put a positive spin on it. And at the end of the day, you kind of pull back from your athletic days and we're going to compete. We're just going to work a little harder. Maybe we try to work a little smarter, innovate, be creative, and not just bury our head in the sand and hope it passes.
I imagine, politics aside, because I'm definitely this way. As soon as somebody tells me not to do something or I shouldn't do it, I'm like, well, now I'm definitely going to do it. Yeah. You shouldn't have said anything. So I imagine, again, politics aside, there was a lot of that with you.
Well, there is. It's you want to be the one that overcomes, right? You want to be the first one back or the first event back. I think the other thing that was hard for us is that we literally walk the 50-50 divide. You got 50% of our audience that is COVID is super scary and get vaccinated. And that political divide of 50%, they're like, this thing doesn't exist. You need to buck the system. You need to hold this event. You need to stand up to the man. And I was in the middle of that ping pong
the whole time,
50-50. And so you're trying to tell people you're trying to know that we're going to be a safe event. That was priority number one without question. But we also wanted to push what we could push and see what is really happening. And then the nice thing about Hoopfest that we're really lucky is that we get a seat at the table. We get a seat at the state level. We get a seat at the regional health. When we call the city answers. So we get, we have some influence and some behind the scenes look at kind of what's happening. We're not completely just hey, this is how it's going to happen this year. We get to kind of have some influence, which is great as well.
Well, with that being said, is there going to be with these new rules and restrictions, are there going to be is it going to be a different whole look for Hoopfest this year, or?
It would have been the June 30 announcement. So when June 30, when Governor Inslee came out and said we're open, that changed our dynamic. So what we're expecting and what we're hoping for, and hey, everyone listening, prove me wrong on this one, is about a 50% capacity event, about 3,000 teams, because it's September. School's in, fall sports, Washington State has a football game. It's just normal conflicts. Yeah. Eastern has a football game, Interstate Fair. We knew when we moved to this weekend that there would be a handful of conflicts that would inherently make us smaller. But that was okay. That was kind of part of the plan because we didn't think we could support everyone anyway.
Right.
And so prove me wrong, everyone. Just prove me wrong, because I would be happy to go back to a really closer to a normal size event. However, with that being said, with the latest announcements from the state, we're not really living in a lot of restrictions. It's going to be if you're vaccinated, we recommend and that you get vaccinated. But if you're fully vaccinated, you're good to go. If you're not, when you're indoors, you wear a mask. But we're not really going to ask or check. We don't.
How do you do that anyway?
That's
thousands.
It's never made sense.
And what made you guys pick that date?
Yeah. So great question. It's not there's only one perfect date in the calendar year for Hoopfest, and that's the end of June.
That's what I'm saying. It was just we went from end of June to all the way September.
Right.
But this year it would have been 110
It would have. So silver lining. The Hoopfest weekend this year, we did have the 108-degree weather, which would have been tough. And we lived through that once in 2015. But really the weekend chose us because when we look at literally picking up 3 square miles of infrastructure, that's what Hoopfest is, the geography, 3 square miles of downtown, and move it to any other weekend, that's the only weekend that was open. With other events, concerts in the park, other things that were on the schedule. Basically other people have priority at these other weekends. And so that was the one weekend that we could land on that we could actually set up Hoopfest as we know it. And so it kind of chose us.
I'm curious, you mentioned at the end of the day, you're a small business.
Yep.
You're the CEO of a small business. Yep. A lot of revenue lost. Yeah. Did the state get you a PPE loan or what?
We went through we were able to, because we're a nonprofit, legal corporation, so we were able to get PPP funding. We were able to apply for various grants, hospitality grants. There were some nonprofit-specific grant funding that was available through the CARES Act. We apply for everything. I mean, literally, if it was even close to like something I could apply, I said just apply and let them tell us no. If it doesn't qualify, great. So we got a lot of support that way. We got a ton of amazing support from sponsors. They just said, no matter what happens, we stand by you. Like, just the money's yours. We understand this year's crazy. And that was really, really affirming. That felt good. And then we did do a virtual event. We were able to use technology in order to kind of bring Hoopfest to you. It's called Home Court, which is like a Apple-based app that does training, virtual reality or augmented reality training, which was a great technology platform. So we were able to offer a virtual event that ended up in August. That we had 1,000 people participate in, and then have sponsors that came on just for that. So we were kind of able to piecemeal it together. We had the Toyota shoot-off. We got Zeke Brown on ESPN.
Right.
Yeah.
Hot Z Brown, I know. Hot Z Brown on the
That was
on the podcast.
incredible.
But he won the card, Toyota shoot-off in the pavilion, and then we were able to get it as the play of the day on ESPN. So we were able to kind of do enough. We did an Air Force One collab, custom-made 50 pairs. We had our own sneaker drop, sold out in an hour. We did enough things that kind of bubblegum and duct taped it all together to get to this year with the hopes of having a successful and safe event in September and then get back on the cycle in June next year.
So that being said, how nervous were you personally? Like, were you like, are we gonna be able to make this? Or like I'm just asking at a personal
100%.
level. Because that's terrifying. Like, you got to think about it. Like, Hoopfest brings so much money into the town. Obviously, everybody wants it, but at the same time, you're like, am I gonna even are we gonna be able to do this?
You mean like survive as a company?
Yeah, and my own professional, my job.
Yeah, right.
I was like, God, could I do excavation?
Right.
With Big Rob.
That market's cornered.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hired by.
All ex-athletes. That's what it's for, man. I'm trying to hire ex-athletes.
Yep. So it was scary. It was scary. I mean, we went through we had to furlough people.
Sure.
We had to change some staffing. We had to take pay cuts. All that was real. And so it was definitely, and like, it's such a precarious business model anyway, because we have one weekend to get it right. Now we have these other programs, and with the Hooptown USA initiative, it changes some of our sources and some of our opportunities. But at the end of the day, the 800-pound gorilla is Hoopfest weekend. I mean, that's what floats all the rest of this stuff.
Dude, the Hooptown USA thing is really impressive.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that genuinely.
Because it's the real deal, man. This is like a hoop town.
I fly into Spokane way too often, like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
But at the airport, you guys just own the airport.
Yeah.
Hooptown USA, and every time I'm seeing it, I'm like, good for you, Matt.
Yeah.
Like, it's
well,
crazy.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's been a fun one. We launched that in 2019, originally to kind of one, to kind of create this identity of this, how basketball connects us. And I think Hooptown, it's part the playing experience, but it's also part this connection. Because when there wasn't a day that goes by I don't talk about basketball in all forms. And so it was just kind of hitting me over the head. Like, people care a lot about basketball in our community, and be it Gonzaga or Hoopfest, the broader community, or Spokane AAU, our youth program, or the investment we've made in the community through the organization. So you start to look, and like, you hear all these stories. I have volunteers that say, I hate basketball. I love Hoopfest.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait a second. So this is basketball bringing people together. And that's really what Hooptown's about. Now, does that create more opportunity? Yes. Does it create more access? If we build it right, yes. Does it create the great lessons you learn from the sport? If we do it right, yes. So I think there's a lot of intrinsic good in what we're doing, but then it can also be cool and fun. And like, why can't we be Hooptown? You go to Nashville, and the airport's a great example. You go to Nashville, Tennessee, like, you get hit over the head with country music. Right. You know exactly where you're at. Well, why can't you show up in Hooptown, USA, and someone throws you a chest pass as you're coming off the plane? You know what I mean? Like, whoa, wait, what is this? Like, here's your honorary Hooptown basketball. Enjoy your time. Like, what kinds of things can we do that really kind of solidify this identity in a fun way?
Well, I think it's crazy how much success in basketball this town has.
Yeah.
It's really, like, just talking about Central Valley women's basketball,
Yes.
high school.
100%.
Go
High
Bears.
school, they have one of the best public school women's basketball programs in the country. Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That really is incredible
It
to
is.
think about. Then you have Gonzaga involved. Eastern now doing their thing.
Yep, Eastern's got Whitworth, always in the national championship conversation
It's
at their
really
level.
incredible. And then you have all these parks around that Hoop Fest has been involved with.
That was a brilliant idea. Whoever did that, so coming from California, I don't think people in Spokane truly understand how cool
all the
or how
hoops are.
nice the public parks are here.
Yeah, no, they're
it's
great.
really nice, and it's Hooptown everywhere.
Yeah.
So whoever had that idea of just not tossing away all these resources, just recycling them.
I think it's really interesting because, this was done. Hoop Fest has built 32 park courts over its 32-year history. Kind of the goal was if the event did well, some of the proceeds of the event would go to building these courts.
And a little bit of write-off.
We're nonprofit.
Okay,
Nonprofit.
okay.
We already got the write-off.
Just like Scientology.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And so, so they wanted to make that investment. So what Hoop Fest really is, so any big market for all your California people, we're basically the community side of an NBA franchise. But we don't have an NBA team. Right. We've done it literally on the shoulders of the community. So, because these NBA franchises, they run the youth programs. They refurbish park courts. They do all these things. Well, we do it off of Hoop Fest, this community event that we're able to make these investments throughout the community. And it's always been a priority since 1990 for the event and the organization to give as much as we get, and that hasn't changed at all.
I have a great idea. Just
what do you got?
Me. It just hit me.
What do you got?
When Seattle gets a team, Hoop Fest needs to get a G League team.
Try it.
Oh, really?
That's what it is.
Good job.
I knew it.
Hooptown, yes, we want. Actually, you know what my big dream is to go, because the Blazers are one of the few NBA teams
they
that
don't have one. It's in Boise,
really?
correct?
But they don't even. It's not even theirs.
Right.
They just kind of farm players out.
Spokane's perfect.
I want us to be the Staples Center of the G League. I want the Blazers and the Sonics here in Hooptown, USA.
Yeah.
Just
see, I knew it because the arena is perfect. It's perfect for the G League.
And the markets, we would support it. You get more
The
opportunities.
shock,
Oh my God.
The shock.
Yeah.
All the
I've always thought, the Indians are great. God bless the Indians.
They're packed though.
But for Spokane just to have a low-level A baseball team, and that's it. Like, this is a AA, AAA city. I've always thought that Spokane could support something like that.
Oh, they can.
Yeah.
I know they can. And just evidenced by the things that we do that are our own. Hoop Fest, Bloomsday, Gonzaga Basketball, State B. Anytime NCAA tournaments come here, men or women.
Right.
That's another opportunity. I wouldn't mind exploring a WNBA team.
Now that...
Because we're the right size market for it.
That is true.
So
a WNBA team would do great here.
I would think so.
too. Yeah.
And I think that's what Hooptown allows us to dream about.
Right.
Because it's no longer just a weekend event or a college program or a high school program. This is like basketball in the community. How do we grow it? So you're spot on. Like, that's exactly why.
Because what bothers me is the arena. The arena is somewhere like Gonzaga. We don't play there. But it is a perfect venue for a lower market basketball team or something there. Because people are dying to go to Zag games, but they can't get in.
Yep.
And people are dying to see good basketball. Why can't it be in the arena is the perfect atmosphere for that.
By the way, did I notice the Shocker back?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go, baby.
Yeah, they're playing. They're mid-season.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
That just goes over my head. I'm sorry.
Really?
No disrespect to those guys. But,
Shout out to the Shock.
Yeah, no, we're cool.
4 years ago, Kevin Durant shows up.
Yep.
Big deal. And I remember you didn't tell anybody about it because I don't think you wanted to overpromise, underdeliver.
Yep. I didn't know about it till Wednesday of Hoop Fest week.
And
I couldn't even lie about it. I didn't know that it was even a possibility.
And then I think but you didn't announce.
Well, they told us we didn't. So Wednesday of Hoop Fest week, I get a call from our Nike contact. It says 50-50 chance that he's going to show up.
You're like, okay, better than nothing.
Yeah, Thursday's 90-10, Friday's 99, and we're doing a run of show on how to get him in and out of town in 2 hours. On Sunday afternoon, don't tell anyone. Mm-hmm. So they told me. So we start to make plans. By Saturday afternoon, I'm kind of telling Nike, by Sunday afternoon at Hoop Fest, it's dying down, and people are like, we love Hoop Fest, but
yeah, it's hot.
You're exhausted.
See you
They're
next
hungover. They're just wanting
and
to
they
get
love
out.
it. I mean, this is all good feelings, but they're like, see you next year.
Yeah.
Like, we are getting out of downtown. So we had to start. We started leaking it on Saturday afternoon, teasing it. Did you hear this? And of course, it couldn't come from me. It had to come from, hey, Rob, just say someone's coming, and then Rob says it, and then it starts to. So all the energy was just kind of started to And like we knew when he showed up on the street, we were planning for literally games at the arena just to stop. And then we were trying to figure out, well, what happens when they stop, they come downtown, they see Kevin Durant, do they try to go back and finish Hoop Fest? Like, what do we do with the vol? Like, we were trying to figure out what's the real impact of having Kevin Durant show up. And it worked out great. He was a stud.
That couldn't have gone better because he posted on Instagram, too, that unbelievable selfie he has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was a total professional because I had a scripted, I think I got to ask him 11 questions. They let me do this from center court. And of course, we blasted over all downtown, all of Hoop Fest. And the first question was like, the last time you were in Spokane was the end of your college career. And I'm like, I'm not jabbing Kevin Durant on the first question.
One of the best scorers of all time.
Right. He's looking down like, where am I? And what am I doing? Why am I talking to you? And I'm like, here, I'm just going to just punch him right. And I'm like, so I changed the wording on the fly. It's like, something, same general question, but I didn't quite get into him about losing. And he was a professional because he actually answered the question. He was like, well, the last time I was here. So he knew it dialed. He had it scripted. And as soon as he did that, I was like, all right, now, because we do this. We do this enough. We're around microphones and cameras enough. It's comfortable-ish.
It is calming when the person you're talking to.
Yeah, but I'm going like, we got a pro here. Like, it's good. He's going to lead me just where I need to go. It's going to be just fine.
I had this thought, though. So 4 years ago, Kevin Durant, that's unbelievable. Great for Hoop Fest, great for Spokane, et cetera. What's crazy to think is that in a few years, and you've always had former Zags come back and, play in the tournament or just, hosts.
Be around,
or judge dunk contests, et cetera, et cetera. But in a few years, you could have like a Jalen Suggs back, and it could be that kind of impact.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren you could have back in 5 years. It could be that kind of impact.
Yeah, the hard part is we got to get to know him in a year.
Yeah.
That's hard.
We've been talking about that a while for a bit, and it's weird. And we don't really want to go into careers and at Gonzaga and all that type of stuff, but guys won't really have a career at Gonzaga.
Honestly, Zach Collins, I forget he went to Gonzaga sometimes.
I know.
With all these influx of guys.
It's not a disrespect.
Nothing
to
on
these,
him.
No, it's just,
he didn't do anything wrong.
This is just the era we're in, and I think the hard part is it's just you don't get to know those guys' personality. Like Joel, you know what kind of guy Joel is.
Yeah, exactly. Corey,
you know what kind of guy. Jack has a poster of him. That's how bad he is.
I do. Somebody sent me a poster.
The Hoop Fest poster? He's on the Hoop Fest poster now. It's a good one.
No,
I'm pretty sure somebody made a poster.
Because I was really type deal on his deal. But you get to know these guys, and that's the hardest part about this is because you want to embrace the whole success of all getting number one, but they're not getting the whole Zag deal.
Yeah. I'm also worried about the culture. Not just for us, but the culture.
That has been a huge talking point for us, basically, because the guys like Corey and Joel, they build that. You've been there for 4 years. You know what it is. You know what to do to pass it down to the next guy. What it feels like to. How does that translate with one and dones?
We had this talk with Phil McCarthy, and same kind of deal. It's great that we're now a destination for one and dones. It's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah.
But we've seen what happens with a Duke or Kentucky when it's just one bad class and you're out of the tournament.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And their brand is such that they could just bounce right back. We've never had to bounce back from not being in the tournament.
Wouldn't that be ironic as if the streak's broken with one and dones?
Don't even
honestly,
Matt,
I'm glad that you put it out in the universe because I do think that it could be like a reverse Shanks deal. Because
nothing I say ever comes true, so I feel good about it.
Yeah, this probably be the one.
And I'm sure Chet Holmgren's a great guy that this isn't a shot at him. But once you go down this road, we've seen it backfire on blue blood programs like Kentucky and Duke.
I just think I hope that the guys that need to earn their stripes. And not saying they're not earning their stripes. The Dominic Harrises, the Julian Strothers, guys that could end up being your lead
could carry
guards.
The torch for a while.
Yeah, that those are the ones that are always being fed enough. I think the one that it's not so much the one and dones that scare me; it's the ones that think they should be one and dones.
Right.
That's going to create that issue because you come in with a different. Not that these guys are that. But
this is a concern in general because it's real. It becomes, you lose that tradition.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, this year's great because we got Drew. Drew
Right.
coming back is going to solidify. He is a Zag. I mean,
Absolutely.
He's
a
the
weirdo.
Yeah,
Zags are weirdos.
Yes, exactly.
No,
He fits-
100%.
He'll fit in any generation.
Yeah.
He would have fit in
Right.
just fine.
Right.
I feel great about Nemhard being the point guard as well.
He's a stud.
Like that,
Yeah.
he feels Zaggish enough as well. Too,
Yeah, it's probably the Canadian blood that gives that little crossover for us.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's an issue.
It's different.
It's something. It doesn't keep me up at night, but it's definitely something to.
Yeah.
Because
be aware of.
at the same time, those guys aren't going to be coming back in the summer.
Yeah,
No,
that's
God no,
different too.
God no.
I mean, you moved here. I moved. I mean, think about how many guys are here
Well,
that
I say
Spokane's
before.
not home.
I can say before Gary, everything before Gary, everybody's pretty much moved back.
Yeah.
Like maybe a handful didn't move back, but everyone really.
Oh, you mean since Gary, people have kind of been moving away a little bit.
Since Gary's class, everyone has moved, really kind of
But
been.
a lot of
moving.
those guys are still playing too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Since Gary, but before Gary's class, everyone pretty. There's probably a handful
At least
that didn't move back.
At least a couple every year stay.
Yeah,
it feels like
because
that have no tie other
Right.
than basketball.
Right.
no
That's
one,
the
no
tie.
one,
Right.
no
I don't
one
have
is-
family here. My
no-
wife doesn't have family here.
Yeah, no one has family here. No, it's just one of those things where you just kind of understand the whole connection between
Yeah.
Gonzaga basketball and the community.
in the community. I mean, I last night we finished up summer league for my will-be 8th grader at the warehouse. So coming out of that, Mike Nielsen going to pick up his son because his son's the same grade. He was just there watching would be his peers, our class. Right. So he's just there watching. Nielsen going. After I get off the podcast here, I'm going to see Casey Calvary.
Right.
So of our group, we had 5 seniors. 4 of us are here. Ryan Floyd, Richie Fromm, Mike Nielsen, and myself. Floyd is Sprague Harrington, so he's could be considered an area kid. But Richie, me, and Mike, we're not. Casey's not. The only one who's not here is Axel Dench. He went home to Australia, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Alex Hernandez is back.
Yeah, Dirty's back. It's great.
It's just one of those things where I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah.
Like you just can't, you love it here, and I think you realize that the community wants to see you thrive just as much off the court as on the court.
Yeah.
You mentioned Casey Calvary, who owns one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, Zag moment of all time. Name, image, likeness.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of momentum to see him get paid a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you had that? Has that discussion happened?
No, I mean, I think of it in 2 ways. One, I look at the opportunity for Hooptown.
Yeah.
How does Hooptown have an athlete, a real official relationship with athletes? I actually think of the Groves boys. Tanner and Jake, because they did everything in ours. They grew up they got introduced to it at Hoopfest.
North Central?
Shadle. AAU. They went through Eastern Washington Elite. Now, they are, and their younger brother, Dylan, is a stud, and Dylan and my son are on the same team, so I know the Groves pretty well. But I think there's opportunity for us as an organization to really start to build those athlete relationships that we could not have done.
It's just wild.
With Casey, I think it's a great opportunity.
Does that NFT exist yet? The non-fungible token?
Man, I don't know.
Dude, this is a whole different.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Just for the record.
It's a whole different. It's just a
See
whole
the gray
different.
hair over here, man? I don't know.
It's a whole different world, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for guys because you're going to see guys get paid. Guys are going to get paid. And it's just a different it's hard to wrap your mind around it for me.
Yes, but I'm here. I'm with you on that, but on the same page at the same time, Matt, I'm sure you've had conversations about this.
No.
Really?
Not beyond what we could do in the community. Not considering like how I would.
Okay.
Or our
So
era.
you don't
would
have
take
like
it.
you don't have like a bundle package ready for Chet.
No. Gosh, no.
You couldn't afford them.
No, we would. Chet will be the one that gets paid a lot, but there's going to be opportunities for other athletes to do different things in the community that they never have. It's going to be hard for these young people, I think, honestly, to navigate this in a really
it's going to be weird.
way.
It's going to be the Wild West for a little bit.
It is. Absolutely is. So I think I don't envy their position necessarily because I think it's going to be tough and people are going to try to express their value. They're going to do it through social media influence, even though you may not have the stats or the playing time to back it up. It's just going to be really weird, and you're going to open the door up to some people who are really smart that are going to find ways to take advantage of the system.
So Matt Santangelo, was part of that 1999 team.
Oh, boy.
He called games for how long?
7 years.
7 years alongside Tom Hudson. He's
Tom
been
Hudson.
the executive director of Hoopfest for how long?
Since 14.
When are you going to run for local office?
Oh, we've been actually really talking about this.
When are you going to do it?
I have been approached for that. I don't know if I would hold up very well.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't. I don't know if
You
I
got
have.
a great smile. You're happy.
Yeah,
it always
but I
starts
don't
that
know.
way with politicians, though, and then one
Yeah,
thing goes
we're gonna
wrong.
get-
and
we're gonna- I'm going to
yeah.
wake up on the can, and I'm going to look, oh, Santangelo. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that. He's,
And so I don't know because the weird part about the question I think is that with Hoopfest it's a political mechanism.
Totally.
Because we work with the city, we
Totally.
work with city council, we work with police and fire in a fun way. I mean,
Right.
in a good way. It's never very contentious or anything, but I do get to see behind the curtain a little bit. And I will say this, and this is when I first moved back, Scott Spink, former Zeg as well, a couple years older than me, we live on the same block, and he goes, are you going to coach your kids? And I was like, nah, I'm not coaching my kids. Kids got to do their own thing. They got to experience it for themselves. And
Absolutely.
It's like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go to one practice. You're going to look around, and you're going to say, we can do better than this. And you're going to end up coaching. But that's kind of that's arrogance talking. That's not necessarily truth. So you see behind the curtain enough to know that it's really complex. And it's a really difficult thing what our city government is. It's not. I mean, everything seems easy from outside. Oh, why don't they just make this decision? Well, because that decision impacts 75 other things that you need to consider.
well,
So
I'll
it's
be
a
your
little
campaign
sophisticated.
manager. Let's make this
That was a very political answer.
Yeah,
You said all the right things. You didn't piss anybody off.
No, 100%. You sold me, buddy. So what are we doing? City council or just let's go for the mayor?
Mayor, state
Mayor,
level, or do we go state level? Why go?
I mean, Kathy
You're
McMorris
preaching to the
Rogers.
choir here, buddy.
Kathy McMorris Rogers has been in office for quite some time. She might be eyeing the door.
I'd be fine with you there. I'd be right behind you, bud.
I would say you start there.
Start there.
Start there at the congressional level.
Why not?
Why not?
Shit,
gotta
you
lose.
have it, man.
Oh no, I don't know.
See, come on, man. I feel you really could be a great politician.
Like, jokes aside, have you had the conversation with your wife about it?
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
We got approached around city council to potentially run for city council, and we did briefly talk about it. I mean, you do always. I am a bit of a what's the word, like a dreamer or whatever. Like the fact that
Gotta
you
be.
can't make change and like you know if you can't just talk about doing it, you got to go do stuff. Right? You got to put yourself in outside your bubble a little bit in order to really make change and grow. And so all those things are attractive. But I had one gentleman, Bill Robinson, who used to be the former president at Whitworth. He did some mentorship work with me for a little while. And he said, right now, and this is going to sound awful to the podcast community, so forgive me. He's like, right now, everyone likes Matt Santangelo.
Totally.
If you run for office, 50% of people will hate you,
Oh,
no matter
100%.
what.
But
It is
you
so better, but
but
that's
you
how it
said
goes.
no. But here's the thing: you said that already in the show. You said that already. You said 50% was mad that you had.
know,
no
they didn't
thing.
like it. I didn't like it.
Well,
I do think, I mean, jokes aside, I do think you're a proven leader, given everything you've done with Hoopfest. You have such a tie with the fabric of this community, given your ties with Gonzaga.
I'd be there.
It feels like you're down the middle politically. I mean, I don't know you
Yeah.
crazy well,
Yeah.
but from what I do know of you,
I think he's
you're a
just
can't
nice
miss
guy.
candidate.
To what end, though? To what
Yeah,
end? Just
yeah.
to say I could win and run for or
That's
run for,
good.
to what
Isn't
end?
that what this
what
country's
we're
all
wired.
about? Yeah,
Just win.
Just win. I thought that's what you're all about, Matt. I know that.
Like, imagine having to run against Matt Santangelo,
That's
the
problem.
Godfather of Gonzaga Basketball, executive director of Hoopfest.
I'm with you. If I had to go against him, I'd be like, oh boy, here we go. I got a lot more skeletons than this guy. I tell you that.
Like, I mean, Adam Morrison would have a shot against you. Outside of that, I don't know who else would.
I don't think.
But Adam's
No, Adam wouldn't. Adam wouldn't win that.
Yeah,
Adam wouldn't win. I'm sorry, Adam wouldn't win at all against Matt.
I mean,
On
No,
a political.
no, I think you're right. Adam's a little far right. And
Yeah.
I don't think Adam. I don't think
It's not
Adam
even
would
a
care me
far
saying
right.
that.
No, it's not a disrespect to Adam. Matt, you embody this community, and it was so cool to see how you've just taken over Hoopfest and it made it grow even bigger.
Thank you.
Like it's. I think once you got your hands on it, and this, from my opinion, is you've made it even bigger than what it was, which is incredible. So, and you've made this idea of Hoopfest. So why not make Spokane bigger than what it is. Come on.
We're trying through Hoop Town. That's one of the initiatives. But I have to say, because I do appreciate the flattered with the. But Hoop Fest was already the largest in the world. It's an amazing thing. Like I'm fortunate that they let me come in and play the role that I play, and I'm happy. I am proud of the kind of voice and perspective that I can give it. However, this thing was massive.
It was
amazing.
Absolutely.
And so this is other people. This ain't me.
I'm so tired of the humility. Let's move on. I think I've asked you this every time we've talked to you about Hoop Fest. Between this podcast and KXOY, I think this is the 4th time we've done it. Best fight story in your history at Hoop Fest.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I know one.
We're not talking
God,
shootings.
see, you always respond that way.
but I
You
don't
always respond that way.
You're right, because I've never experienced one firsthand.
Okay.
I've seen, I've seen the parents. The parents are always ridiculous. But I've never to where it got physical. I've only heard, hearsay or secondhand stories of something that really went bad.
Punches thrown,
blood, or blood, and like years later lawsuits still being settled out and that kind of thing. But I've never actually seen it.
Do you have to get involved in those lawsuits or like make a statement or something?
This one, the only one that I've had to get involved with directly was a trip and fall by a volunteer.
Okay.
So we had a volunteer.
The volunteer sued you?
Yep, sued the organization.
Can we talk about it?
No, this is years ago, and this actually happened before me. But like, it wasn't my first day. This is an exaggeration, but like my first day is like got served. Here's your lawsuit. I'm like, oh man, I just showed up. What am I doing fighting lawsuits?
Yeah.
But and it settled out well and everything. And the volunteers is healthy and fine. But that was the only one I've ever been a part of. It's been uniquely like, I mean, we've had my first Hoop Fest with Bailey. The Friday night when we're setting up, we had a young female athlete, shooting around because as soon as those rims hit the street, it's packed.
Everybody's
Friday night at
in
Hoop
college,
Fest,
we used to cruise over.
Yeah. Friday night at Hoop Fest is magic. It is. The streets are ours.
Yeah.
Like it is people everywhere. It's magic.
It's a great time.
They ran into they collided with a forklift and ended up in the ER.
A couple of your volunteers?
No, a young athlete.
Oh no.
So me and Bailey
didn't see the forklift.
Well, they were going back.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm sorry.
They shot the ball.
Victim
They're
shame
running
here,
this
but-
way. Forklift is coming this way. Neglect on both parts, probably, or accident on both. It was an accident. It was a horrible accident.
I agreed, but
and so Bailey, I don't even think Bailey was hired yet.
Yeah,
she was just kind of scouting out Hoop Fest. And so we ended up going to the emergency room at that time. Horrible thunder, lightning, and rainstorms on Friday night Hoop Fest. So we're sitting there in the ER with this mom and the daughter, checking on them, and I'm getting calls saying like, we can't set up the site, we can't put tape down. Tape doesn't go down on wet ground. Big surprise. So we get out of the young athlete is fine, stabilized, fine, just kind of hanging out, but she has a pretty bad concussion, and she takes a hit. And so we come back downtown. This is probably now 12:31 in the morning, pouring down rain, thunder and lightning. The tape crews, our volunteer tape crews, awesome group of women and men, they go back, we send them home, but we say, can you come back in the morning? So they went from, setting up streets from 7 until midnight, 12 o'clock, couldn't really do the work. They're just kind of hanging out. And we say, can you come back at 4:35 if it stops raining? And they do. So like that night, we don't sleep. This is my first Hoop Fest. 4:35 in the morning, you see the tape crew come out. I see friends of mine, the Wheeler family, Ryan Ragazza Barassa, all these guys that were volunteers before I even started. They were just part of the crew. And I walk out in the street at like 5 in the morning, and they're all out there. The sun's shining. There's still puddles around, but they're laying down tape. And I'm going like, oh, my gosh. And so I get a call probably at 7:58 in the morning going, tape's done. Game started at 8 o'clock. Yeah. And that year was the 25th anniversary. Wow. Cammie Bradley, the local musician, is singing our national anthem. She kills it. Yeah. And literally at 7:58 in the morning, she's killing it. The sun is shining. I'd get the call that tape is done. I'm crying. Like literally, I've been here for 3 months, totally 3 months. Like I'm not Hoop Fest yet. Like I haven't earned my stripes. All these volunteers have been volunteering for years, and all this heavy lifting they've done. Like I haven't done anything yet. And here I am, I'm in. I'm hook, line, and sinker. I'm sold by the magic. Like it is the hardest working team in basketball, hands down.
Right on. Sunday night, what's the Hoop Fest rap party like?
At the old Red Lion over on a Brown. That was always where the site team. So when site team's
shut
done,
down, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's changed ownership. Is reopening.
Sad. Oh, okay.
George is done. George has been a long time owner there. But site team would always end up there sometime between 11 and 1 o'clock in the morning. And they'd have food spread for us, and we'd probably have 30, 40 people just exhausted and kind of thrilled and
that's just
giddy.
A deep breath.
Like, oh my gosh, it's the best feeling ever.
and then you're like, okay, we got what, tomorrow to start?
Yeah, because the whole like month after Hoop Fest is putting it away. Like I didn't realize that either. I thought, man, once Sunday night we're done, like it's good. And then you wake up Monday morning, you kind of have the Hoop Fest hangover is a real thing.
Yeah,
you have about a week before you're just in a fog because you're so tired. And then but you have to physically put that event away, and it's a lot. That's a big thing. So that takes a while, and then immediately you go. It's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge, right? As soon as you get done with this end, you got to go back to the start, and you just start getting with sponsors and partners. What went right? What went wrong? How do we get you back for next year? So on and so forth, and it just start all over again.
I've been out of the Spokane political loop for a while. Center Court was at Bennett Block for a while, and I think that worked out great. It's going to go back to the park
in the pavilion.
Because they set up for you guys.
It's built like an amphitheater.
Okay, right.
Yep. So built up an amphitheater for a lot of things, but one of the things we wanted to do was move Center Court back in. So it'll be interesting to see because the Bennett Block was a big hit.
I thought that was great,
and it turned out really well. It's hard surface to make it work as a playing surface, but just in the center of everything. So you had a bunch of traffic, but Pavilion's a really unique venue. It's a destination.
Oh, it's sweet.
So
it's the skyline of Spokane.
Yeah, and so hopefully that brings people in. Once you're in it, it's a unique experience. And then we just opened up the North Bank courts, the Hooptown USA courts on the North Bank of Riverfront Park, which are two big, beautiful courts, new artwork installed. Some things about Hoop Fest I really like talking about. Two of them, especially when I'm talking to kids, because you give them all these numbers and the kids are like, I don't care. But you say we're big enough that we stop Lime scooters. It's like literally we can put a digital barrier around Hoop Fest so a Lime scooter can't go through.
Yeah.
Like, see, even Rob liked that one. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, you guys are big time.
I just tried Lime for the first time last week. It sucked.
And your cell phone never works at Hoop Fest. It's how many people are down there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or there's always trouble.
We've crushed the network several years. We're getting better at that, but that's true. But the parking lot adjacent to the basketball hoops at North Bank Park, we actually got to design the landscaping to leave us enough space to put Hoop Fest courts in. So we had, not only did we build the basketball courts, but we had influence on how the parking lot was going to be designed. Stupid stuff like that I love. So that spot will be a nice oasis of courts too, and amenities, and just because of the park, they did a nice job finishing the park.
September 11th and 12th, Hoop Fest 2021. Matt Santangelo, Executive Director. Anything else we need to know?
Yeah, registration's open.
Okay.
So get registered, SpokaneHoopFest.net on the website, at Spokane Hoop Fest on all the social channels to follow along. Registration's open. Volunteer registration is open too. If you can't place, you can still come out and join and participate and be a part of the magic of Hoop Fest. We want to be strong this year so we can bounce back even stronger next year is the goal. And we're thrilled to be planning for it. Thrilled to be bringing people together around Hoop Fest.
Do we have an app?
We have a mobile app. Yep. It'll be Spokane Hoop Fest, not out yet. It'll be Apple and Android. It's new this year, new version of it this year that we're really excited about that should work a little more seamlessly. Yeah, man, it's all good. We've been working hard to get to this point where we can talk about the event and really plan for it. And we need people to come back out and re-engage in that tradition and continue to build in this thing because there's too many good things we could be doing. And we need Hoop Fest as the engine to make all the other stuff and investment we make go.
Final question. Can Rob and I be on your media staff when you make your inevitable run for Congress?
Well, he was already campaign manager.
Your campaign manager. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I think you're.
I'll write press releases.
No. Your campaign's Jack. You'll be campaign manager. I'll just be the hype man in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just say every other word.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again. Good to see you guys.
Thank you once again to Matt Santangelo. Hoop Fest is 1 month away, and thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Hoop Fest 1 month away. Robert Sacre, do you have something to leave the people with?
Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life.